session 79. And this is Genesis 28, and I'm reading verse 6 to 9. And Esau saw that Yitzhak had blessed Yaakov and sent him away to Padan Aram to take himself a wife from there. Remember, Isaac said Jacob mustn't get a Canaanite wife. And that as he blessed him, he gave him the commandment to say, "Do not take a wife from the daughters of Canaan." So did you note what this verse started off with? It said, and Esau saw that Isaac blessed Jacob, and that Isaac sent him away, and that Isaac commanded him, "Do not take a daughter from Canaan." And verse 7 continues, and Esau saw that Jacob had obeyed his father and his mother, and had gone to Padan Aram. So Esau is looking at all of this. He's seeing this relationship between father and mother and Jacob, and how Jacob is obeying his father and mother. Let's look at the rest, verse 8. So Esau saw that the daughters of Canaan did not please his father Isaac. So here you can start seeing a rebellion brewing inside of Esau. He's looking at the way that Jacob is treating his parents, and he's looking at the way that his parents is treating Jacob. And he saw that Isaac doesn't like the daughters of Canaan, and it's almost like he loves Jacob now more than he loves Esau, because he's telling Jacob, don't mix yourself with these pagan women. Go and look for a woman in Padan Aram with your mother's family. Verse 9. And Esau went to Ishmael. Remember, Ishmael is Isaac's half-brother. So Esau went to Ishmael and took Ma'alat, the daughter of Ishmael, Abraham's son, the sister of Nebaioth, to be his wife, besides the two wives he already had. So remember, he had these Canaanite women, and he was very rebellious. I mean, that was against his father's wishes and against his mother's wishes. We talked about how Rebekah cried, how Esau really brought her shame and distress because of the way that, her daughters-in-law were not only just treating her, but the way that they were pagan. They didn't follow the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And now he went, Esau, and he took a third wife. He already had two Canaanite wives. And this is how the lineage of Ishmael and Esau got mixed. And how the brother from Isaac and the brother from Jacob, the two of them, it's almost like their strengths got combined when they mixed here, when Esau married Ishmael's daughter. And they became the biggest enemies of the line of Isaac and Jacob. Out of Ishmael and Esau, we have the whole Palestinian, the Palestinian race. It's not only Palestine now in these days that we look on the news and we see and hear about Palestine. It's basically where the Philistines have lived, where the Canaanites have lived. That area is the Philistines area, and it's been called Philistine area, Palestine. It's the same word. Those mixed pagan religion of the lineage of Ishmael and Esau, that is one of the biggest enemies against Israel, in the physical as well as in the spiritual. Now let's jump to Jacob. Jacob has a much nicer story than Esau. So Jacob went out from Beersheba, and he went towards Haran. And he came upon a place. You need to listen to this now. He came upon a place, and he stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones of that place, and put it at his head. And he lay down in that place to sleep. Remember, nothing in Scripture is ever said in vain. Just these plain words, the place. Listen to this. The place. Did you notice that in this one verse, the words the place was repeated 3 times? I'm going to quickly read it to you again. And he came upon a place, and he stopped over for the night, for the sun had set. And he took one of the stones off that place and put it at his head, and he lay down in that place to sleep. This place is extremely significant. This specific place where Jacob took a stone, put it under his head, laid it down that night. And what Jacob, remember Jacob, the father of the 12 tribes, the 12 tribes of Israel, Jacob's name was changed to Israel. What Israel, because now Jacob is not only as the man Jacob, lying here with his head on a stone in this place, but he's also representing you and me, because we've been studying more than long enough that we are Israel. The scattered lost sheep from the house of Israel, scattered into every nation, tribe and tongue. But in the last days we will hear the calling voice of God, and we will be regathered by the hand of the Messiah. So what Israel experienced that night in that place has so much messianic importance, spiritual significance, mysterious prophecy, and eternal truth that I never want to stop talking about this place. And you know what place I'm talking about. You've heard me talk about the place so many times before, the geographical location. You know what's coming. Let's just look at Genesis 28 verse 16 and 17. We've just talked about this place. So after Jacob's dream, he woke up from his sleep and he said, "Truly, Yahuwah is in this place, and I did not know it." Verse 17. And he was afraid. He was full of fear and reverence. And he said, "How awesome is this place! This place is none other than the house of God. And this place is none other than the gate of the heavens." This place in Hebrew is Ha-Makom. Ha-Makom. And although it seems to be just a place like any other place, if you quickly read verses like these, it's only when you start looking for the prophetic and the spiritual in everything you read in the Old Testament that you realize how amazing these Hebrew words are. Ha-Makom, the place. This specific place where Israel, Jacob is representing Israel, the kingdom of God. This is where Israel is resting with his head on a stone. And it's not like this is just a place where Jacob happened to stop over for the night. No, God willed it and he planned it so that Jacob came to rest at this specific place that night. He could have, maybe he was walking faster and he could have stopped at another place. But no, God made him stop at a specific geographical location, because there's a message in it for us today. Because why? God couldn't just make any old place his house, right? It couldn't have been 10 kilometers forward or 20 kilometers backwards. It had to be that specific place, Ha-Makom. We have talked about how intensely significant the geographical location of Jerusalem is. How we believe that the exact location of the temple is the very same exact location as the original Garden of Eden. Because of this whole earth, there's only one place where God has called his name to be. There's only one place that he allows sacrifice, and there's only one place where Yeshua came in his first coming, and there's only one place where he's going to come back in his second coming. He's not coming to Johannesburg or London. That place Believe me, Jacob did not coincidentally happen to just stop here at this specific place when the sun was setting. No. Oh, the mysterious God can sometimes work without us even knowing it. Even planning your steps so that Jacob ended at that place exactly when the sun was setting and he had to stop walking right there. How many times has he planned out your journeys? And something happened on the way that maybe messed up your plans. But God had another plan or another goal in mind. So he makes sure that you, just like Jacob, ends up exactly where he wants you to be. So verse 12. And Jacob dreamed and saw a ladder set up on the earth. And the top of the ladder reached to the heavens. And he saw messengers, malachim, angels, the angels of God going up and down upon the ladder. We'll talk about the ladder later on. So imagine now this in your mind's eye. He's sleeping under the stars, probably remembering the blessing from Abram to Isaac and from Isaac to him, that from his loins will come a nation as multiple as the stars in heaven. Jacob has not heard the voice of God yet, remember? He has heard his father and his grandfather talk about this amazing God, but he himself has not heard God speak to him directly yet. Verse 13, and see, Yahuwah stood above the ladder. Remember this. We're going to talk about the ladder. And he said, so he spoke, remember, whatever he speaks, whatever comes out of his mouth is his words. His words eventually became flesh. And he said, I am Yahuwah. I am the Elohim of Abram, your father. I am the Elohim of Yitzchak. The land, this place where you are lying, I give it to you, Jacob, Israel, and I give it to your seed, Israel, that will be scattered all over the earth, the seed from the olive tree, Romans 11, that needs to come back and be grafted back into the olive tree. Okay, let's just stop here. Who is this God? All right. Does God ever introduce himself in any other way? Think about this. Anywhere in the Bible. As anyone else than Yahuwah, the Elohim of Abram, Isaac, and Jacob. I'll give you time to think about this. He never introduced himself as the God of the Garden of Eden, or the God of the Egyptians, or the God of the Jews, or the God of the Christians, or the God of the Ethiopians, or even the God of Noah, or the God of Adam. No. We need to start recognizing that this God always, and I've shown you this in the New Testament as well, always refers to himself as the God of Abram, Isaac, and Jacob. And out of Jacob comes Israel, and we are the lost sheep from the house of Israel. Yahuwah is our Elohim. He's the Elohim of Abraham, our father. And Yeshua said we are the seed of Abraham if we believe in the word of God. So the land, this place, God didn't give any other piece of land to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He didn't give them Egypt or Turkey or England. No. He only gave them the land of Israel. Israel might not look like much today, the state of Israel. But we have to remember that this beautiful, holy land is the apple of God's eye. This is what he loves. This is where he sent his son. This is where the New Jerusalem will come down to in the last days. The physical land, this physical place on which Jacob was lying, is the promised land, to which all of us are longing for. The land might look like a desert now, but it will again be like it was, the original Garden of Eden. Isaiah 51, verse 1 to 3. Hearken to me, you that follow after righteousness. So who's God speaking to here through the mouth of Isaiah? He's speaking to those that is following after righteousness. Haven't we discussed in detail Who of us are following after righteousness? That God is betrothing Israel in righteousness. The foundations of his throne is righteousness, and the foundation of his throne is the Torah that is inside the Ark of the Covenant, and he sits on the mercy seat. We've discussed all this. So he's talking to you now. Listen to me, says Isaiah. You that follow after righteousness. You that seek Yahuwah. All right? And also, I remind you of Deuteronomy 4 that says, after we are scattered all over the world, and we start seeking Yahuwah, and we start looking for him, that he will gather us again, and he will bring us back, but only those who are seeking him with all their heart, all their mind, and all their strength. So again, he's confirming that he's speaking to those who follow after righteousness and those who are seeking Yahuwah. And we know the prophecies of who these people are. So we know that we can now listen. Ons kan ons ore nou spits. Because he's now talking to you and to me. He says, look unto the rock from whence you are hewn. Now this is now King James, Old English. Look unto the rock from where you came from. Okay, it's beautiful because we know the rock is Yeshua. And Paul confirms that the rock that Moses had to strike to bring the water forth, remember, the rock is Yeshua. And from the beginning, this Yeshua, this kingdom, this word of God, his authority, his kingdom, we are pieces of that. We might have forgotten about our inheritance, but now we are looking at the word again and we are reminded that we are Israel, the seed of Abraham. And he's talking to us, remember the rock where you come from. Look unto Abraham your father. So he says, Isaiah says, that those who follow after righteousness and those that seek Yahuwah are the children of Abraham your father and Sarah your mother. Isaiah 51 verse 2. Look unto Abraham your father and unto Sarah that bare you. I mean, Sarah didn't bear us, right? We didn't come from the womb of Sarah. Sarah is not our mother or our grandmother in the physical. Does it matter? Haven't we said to each other how the physical and the spiritual and the prophetic is all the same? It doesn't matter whether we have Sarah's Jewish blood. Sarah wasn't even a Jew. I mean, out of Abraham came Isaac, and Isaac Jacob, and Jacob had 12 sons, and only the tribe of Judah eventually became the Jews when they returned from Babylon and lived in the area of Judea. The rest of the 12 tribes are not Jews. So, from her seed and from her that bears us, Isaiah is talking, for I called him alone, Abraham, and I blessed him, and I increased him. And remember, what did he bless him with? He blessed him and said, all the nations of the earth will be blessed in you. And he made a covenant with him in Genesis 15 to say, although your seed will go through trials and tribulation, I will gather them again, and I will die for them, so that I can bring them back into covenant. All right, verse 3 of Isaiah 51. For Yahuwah shall comfort Zion. What is Zion? Where is Zion? That is Jerusalem. That is the mountain of Zion. That's where Yeshua is coming back again. And we read about Zion all over the Bible. This is the place where he called his name on. And I'm not talking about Zionistic Jews today. Those people that call themselves Zionists, that's totally something different. That's taking something out of the Bible and making it your own kind of religion. The Zionism today is a totally different religion. I'm not talking about the religion of Zionism. I'm talking about the Zion of God, the God of the Old Testament, the God of Zion. He says, I shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places. And remember, he's talking about Zion, he's talking about Jerusalem as if she is the bride. Do you remember that we looked in the book of Revelation? That the new Jerusalem comes out of heaven like a bride prepared for her husband. So not only is the physical area the spiritual symbology of his bride, but also his city, Jerusalem, he loves so much. He loves the city of David, where David built him this beautiful city, and where Solomon came and built him the beautiful temple. Oh, there's just so much to say about this. I remember Yeshua stood on the mountain, and he looked out over Jerusalem, and he cried and he said, "Oh, Jerusalem, Jerusalem, you who have killed all my prophets. If you only knew how much I wanted to gather you under my wings, like a hen gathers her chickens." We need to understand how much God and Yeshua loves Jerusalem. Not only the physical place, but the spiritual Jerusalem. His bride, you and me, lying with Jacob in this place with our head on the stone, the rock, the foundation where we come from. I will make her a wilderness. All right, so Isaiah's continuing. For Yahuwah shall comfort Zion. He will comfort all her waste places, because now she looks like a wasted place. She doesn't look like the Garden of Eden. I will make her wilderness like Eden. I will make her desert like the garden of God. Now, what is the garden of God? That's paradise. That is the Garden of Eden. That is where Revelation 22 verse 14 says we will have access again. Back to the tree of life, back into the garden. So he says, I will make the wilderness of Jerusalem again like the Garden of Eden. And joy and gladness shall be found therein, thanksgiving and the voice of melody. Beautiful. This is the place. Although right now, if you look at Jerusalem and you look at Israel, we can see that the New World Order is the government there currently. God's government is not in place there at the moment. That's why God's government is getting into position and getting into place in the seed of Jerusalem, in the seed of Abraham, in the seed from the Garden of Eden, from the tree of life, you and me. That is what his kingdom is getting in position with, until such time that he will come and destroy all his enemies on earth, and he will establish his kingdom again. Where? Johannesburg or Durban or Cape Town? No. Here at Ha-Makom, this place. Genesis 28 verse 14. This is now, God has been speaking to Jacob from the top of the ladder, and he continues and said, your seed shall be as the dust of the earth. Okay? We know what that means already. And you, he's talking to Jacob. Jacob is representing Israel. And he says, and you shall break forth, listen to this, to the east and to the west, to the north and to the south. Confirmation upon confirmation upon confirmation. That the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob will be scattered to the northeast, south, and west, but will be regathered again from the northeast, south, and west. What is that verse? I've given it to you before. I think it's Matthew 8. I think it's Matthew 8:11. I hope it is. Because Yeshua is another witness for us about the northeast, south, and west. About the seed of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Here we go. Matthew 8:11. Now this is Yeshua. We've just heard God talk and tell Jacob that your seed will be sown into the earth to the east, north, south, and west. You are the seed of Abraham. What does Yeshua say? Our second confirmation from the mouth of God himself. We cannot ignore this or still believe in a dispensational religion, kingdom church. Yeshua says, Matthew 8:11, and I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west and shall sit down with Abram and Isaac and Jacob in the kingdom of heaven. Can you see old and new confirmations? More than 2 or 3 witnesses. This is not my opinion or something I'm trying to push down your throat. You can see that God and Yeshua, and I'm not even talking about Isaiah and Jeremiah, the confirmations are numerous for this doctrine that I'm showing you. Your seed shall be as the dust of the earth, and you shall break forth to the west and to the east, to the north and to the south. And, just like with Abraham, he says, all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you. In who? In Israel. In Jacob, his name was changed to Israel. All the families of the whole earth, from the east, China, to the west, America, to the north, I don't know, Europe, to the south, South Africa, all the families of the earth shall be blessed in you, Israel, and in your seed, the house of Israel. Exactly the same as God promised Abraham and Isaac. Where is the dust of the earth? Dust can be found on every single continent, right? Where is the west and the east and the north and the south? If you look on a map, Israel, Jerusalem, is smack down in the center of all the continents. Just look at it. Go take up a map and look at it. And you can just draw a little cross on where Jerusalem is. And you can see that from there to the east, you've got the whole Russia and China and the eastern countries. And to the west, you've got Europe and America. And to the south, you've got South Africa and Australia and what is it, other country now? Can't remember. And to the north, you've got the northern European areas and Canada. So Israel, Jerusalem, is in the middle. And the dust is on every single continent, spreading out from the center. And from this land, Israel, the house of Israel was scattered to the west, the east, the south, and the north, like the dust of the earth. But in Jacob, just like in Abraham, all the nations of the earth shall be blessed. Blessed with what? Like Yeshua said, blessed to become Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob's seed, if we return to the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. We are symbolically in those 12 tribes. Our older brother is Judah, the house of the Jews, the house of Judah. But the rest of the tribes are the house of Israel, the lost sheep. What is the confirmation that all these tribes need to come back again together in the hand of the Messiah? We've looked at all the prophecies that says the hand of the Messiah will bring back the house of Judah and the house of Israel together. But when you read the book of Revelation, right, we read about the 144,000. And there's been like a million different opinions about who the 144,000 is. But go and read it. It tells you exactly who the 144,000 is. It's 12,000 from every tribe of Israel. And in the New Jerusalem, how many foundations does the New Jerusalem have? 12. How many doors, how many entrances does the New Jerusalem have? 12. If we are not somewhere part of this 12 tribes of the kingdom of Israel, in which door will we go in? At what door will we go in? There isn't a door for Gentiles or a door for, I don't know, Muslims, Buddhist, let's talk about all the religions in the world. Anybody that comes out of any other religion comes into God's kingdom that has been unchanging from the beginning. That that is the tree of life, represented by this tree of life. And Paul says that the roots of this tree is Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. There is no other place for us than being one of these tribes. Which one? We don't know. Neither did Caleb knew. Remember, Joshua and Caleb came out with Israel out of Egypt. And Caleb wasn't one of the 12 tribes. He was a Gentile. Remember, I showed you. The Egyptians and all the other Gentiles and pagans that came out of Egypt with Israel, none of them knew, of which tribe they were part. They were just taken into a tribe, and then they became part of that tribe. You don't need Jewish blood in you to become part of any of the tribes. God, at the end of the day, through the hand of Gabriel, will, what is the right word? Every person will be put into a tribe by Gabriel. He will tell you in which tribe you are, by which door you must go in. And God continues from the top of the ladder, and he says, "See, I am with you, and I shall guard you wherever you go." Not only promising this to Jacob, but promising this through Jacob to you and me, the scattered seed of Jacob. He will guard us, and he will be with us wherever we are scattered. And I will bring you back to this land, he's promising. He will bring us back to the land, to the promised land. There's only one place in the book of Revelation where everything ends. That's where we need to be brought back to. "For I'm not going to leave you," says God, "until I have done what I have spoken." Until God has fulfilled all his promises to you and to me, he's not going to leave us. No, he's actually going to return, and we're going to see him physically, where now we only see him with spiritual eyes of faith. Wow, this is just amazing for me. So, we're going to have to continue tomorrow. We've reached our limit in time, but there's still so much lying ahead. I hope that you're excited about this ladder. We need to talk about the ladder.